party in Miami. Miami.
Hello, golf fanatics. It's Billy Ho here again. Preview and research show for the PGA event of the year, the Players Championship. Back and better than ever. And the so-called fifth major has the most dough available with a $25 million purse, 4.5 mil guaranteed first place prize. The top five will clear $1 million. That's a lot of money. This event does define the true meaning of like the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, where you're seeing guys holing out for eagle or, albatross. I think I've seen before. Brooks Koepka comes to mind. And then Tiger rinsing two back-to-back balls on 17 to miss the cut a few years ago. Things like that are just what you're going to see this week. One of the most volatile tournaments in all of golf. This will mark the 50th anniversary of the prestigious tournament, and the format is pretty much the same as any other PGA full field contest. So, just a quick plug. Make sure you check out my horse racing content, ramping up for Kentucky Derby 2024. That's the 150th anniversary of my hometown Louisville's Kentucky Derby. I'm local. I got local knowledge if you need it. If you're planning on attending the event, Churchill Downs can be tricky getting in and out of, things like that. Same goes for the PGA Championship 2 weeks after that at Valhalla. All that's available at Billy Ho Sports. You're going to get the best coverage out there, so stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed and you got your notifications set and all that kind of stuff, and throw a like on this one while you're at it too, and let's get this thing started. TPC Sawgrass, renowned for that iconic 17th Island green, much more nuanced venue than that. It's the most well-known and iconic of all the Pete Dye design courses. If you know anything about Pete Dye courses and you've been playing DFS and golf and whatnot for the past several years, he's deceptively honest with his layouts. What I mean by that is he can challenge your decision-making off the tee, on approach, the angles that you have to take into the pins, whether you're being blocked out by trees, you might be better off being in the left rough than the right fairway, things of that nature. He'll also give you ample opportunity to be aggressive and make birdies. So he's very fair in that aspect. The course itself winds through Florida's natural landscape, offering strategic bunkering, undulating fairways, typical of Pete Dye designs, demanding greens as well, not to mention waters looming everywhere. 17 of the 18 holes or something like that. Scotty Scheffler made it look pretty easy last year, rolling up a negative -17 score. He won by 5 strokes last year. So Sawgrass is a smaller, shorter venue, par 72, about 7,256 yards, depending on where they put the tees. I'll get to that in a minute. The greens are on the small side, 5,500 square feet on average. Now, normally you would hear Florida, it's Bermuda. This is Bermuda, that's Bermuda, but it is overseeded with POA. And this time of the year, the Bermuda's not growing in yet. So you're going to see more POA being like the prevalent grass. But don't confuse it with like the West Coast POA. But so it will be very smooth and it will be firm and fast. The weather looks pretty good for scoring. There are showers in the forecast over the weekend, but the wind doesn't look too severe. So I would monitor that front. It's coming in late afternoon Friday, and it looks like the wind spikes. So if that front starts moving in Friday afternoon, those AM PM waves are going to have a hard time with the wind. Shifting in wind, everything like that. The thing you will need to keep in mind, if it's like it was a couple of years ago, if we get a bad storm, it turns nasty, then they get delays and they get to come back Saturday morning, and then that just flip-flops your entire wave advantage. So there's that. Best of luck. Anyway, excuse me, I'm sorry. Quite obvious that ball striking is going to be key. But this is actually one of the higher ranking courses for like the strokes gained off the tee, like total driving. And that's due to the nature of the Pete Dye course itself. Experience does matter. You want to see this course before, but it's not like a course horse. Like everybody has bad years. Everybody misses cuts. One guy can miss a cut one year and come back and top 10 the next. One guy can finish 60th and then next year win it. I think JT won it a couple years ago. The next year he was like he did barely crack the top 40. So definite surprises. Now, what I do see is the similarities in scoring, like we got this week at Bay Hill for the Arnold Palmer, but a different way. Obviously, completely different courses. But what I mean is the par fives are must score. There's not a whole lot of those par fours, and the par threes will eat you alive. You got to white knuckle through those par threes. But what I mean is also there are the difference is three sub 400 yard par fours are really easy layup and wedge holes. Those are three very high birdie percentage holes besides the four par fives, obviously. So holes 4 and 6 are 376, 393 yards, respectively. So you're just talking about whacking a 2-iron out there about 270. Maybe some people will use 5 woods, hybrids, whatever that floats their boats. Hole 12 is about the same, but actually last year they moved it up to 307 yards on Sunday, making it drivable. So we'll have to see if that's the case again. Also, this time of the year, it's a lot softer course. It's not as much run out, so you can be more aggressive. You can use more driver. I think that's why driver's more important in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, it's not like they just did this last year. It's been a few years since they've been having this tournament in March. So, strokes gained approach. Obviously, there's not really any super specific buckets, but you're going to see those wedges again. It's a lot of, like I said, short layup shots with wedges. Then you have the par fives. If you don't get there, you might lay up to wedge shots. Greens in regulation and proximity stats are going to be useful. So right now, let's go ahead and jump over to Rick Rungood's website. And I did want to give shout out to Rick. He did a good job. He just got the field loaded in a little while ago. So you already have the cheat sheet for the Players Championship, and all the other things are filled in as well. We'll take a look at a custom model. I can do everything I want to do. So thanks very much, Rick, for that. Also, thanks for listening. I don't know if you took my specific suggestions to heart, but you brought this over to the Holy Grail, which is course horses, which is very helpful in the one and done, because then it gives you like some strokes gain metrics in one place for the course specific to the event, or you can pick several courses. I do believe you can add in, like if I wanted to hit control and just did like, Accordia, then it's got multiple selections. So things of that nature, which is pretty cool. But we'll uncheck that before I screw it up. So you can see Eric Van Rooyen. I actually organized this on approach. I did the same thing with the cheat sheet. I wanted to see who was got the good recent form on approach. I went last. Actually, I wanted 24 rounds here, so we're going to do that. But my man Hollywood Hoagie was up there. He's just dropped a little bit. So the recent form, actually, that tells you a lot, because Seabez Bezadenhout jumped up to the top of the list as soon as I moved it up to 24 rounds. So you got some interesting characters here up to the top. So basically, it's like this. By avoiding catastrophe, one, which is water balls, double bogeys, triple bogeys, and having those irons clicking and catching a hot putter, you can win this tournament, no doubt. Looking at the field loaded with talent, I think the 6 of 6s and DFS will be lower, so embrace that variance. I ran an early model using what I had, a Pete Dye. It was kind of this Pete Dye specialist hybrid type of thing, along with recent form. But it came up with like the usual suspects. But somebody like Eric Van Rooyen held up well at Arnold Palmer, which people were beginning to wonder about him with his good success lately. Was it just on these easy tracks? And he's proving it to an extent at API. I mean, he's not exactly like top five in it or anything, but he's holding his own all right. He's had some success at Sawgrass with the way he's striking his irons and a little bit of putting. He can go a long way. And of course, when you think of this ball striking paradise, you think of guys like Corey Connors, Aberg, even Webb Simpson is starting to have just a slight resurgency. Griot, obviously a Pete Dye type of person. Cameron Young's been playing really well. Eckroat just won. Henley is you'll hear Henley a lot. Henley is ramping up. He's playing very well at a course that maybe he might not be the greatest fit, but API he's doing really well at. This course, I think with his ball striking, if he can just keep that putter rolling, he's going to be in good shape. But if, obviously, Scotty Victor, Patrick Cantlay, I'm not too big on. I know he's good at Pete Dye courses, but he hasn't had a whole lot of success at Sawgrass. So ownership is going to dictate a lot. JT can win this thing. JT's really, really on the verge. He won it a couple of years ago. I don't even think he gained strokes putting when he did it. It's either this or St. Jude that I confused with, where he actually lost strokes putting and won anyway. But I guarantee you, if he won and gained strokes, it wasn't many. So, other guys, of course, Scotty, Rory, blah, they both have won it. Rory, I can't tell what to do with Rory right now. 1 minute he looks like he's got it going, and then the next minute he's doing something stupid. His chipping was terrible. He was awful on the par fives at API. I don't know what he's doing. He tries too many weirdo shots. He gets himself in too much trouble. It seems like he's like one step forward, two steps back. I don't know what the deal is, but he was hot fire yesterday, Saturday. On the back nine, he shot 30. He had 3 straight birdies to close it out, and it looked like he was going to get me that top 5 finish, and he just didn't get it done. Very unfortunate. But some of the stats that I went with are just your general approach stats. I got like the last 12, last 24. Fantasy points gained was the only thing I put there. Then I went total driving, fairways gained, a little here, a little there, ops gained, greens gained, that type of thing. Inside 10 feet putting. That's what showed up over here on the course key stats. Obviously approaches, these are some layup holes. You'll have a few shots from 75 yards out on par fives and whatnot. So back over to finishing off our players. Like I said, the Holy Grail. You got guys like Van Rooyen, Homa. Homa's interesting candidate. Homa's had some success, but he's not a guy you would think, oh, course fit. He must be a Sawgrass dude. No, that's West Coast Max Homa. That's Cali Max Homa. He's no good here. He'll go unoverlooked, hopefully. Victor Hovland might be putting things together, but he did have a very horrible round 3 with the putter. But he's always a guy I like in my DFS lineups because he has huge upside with fantasy scoring. This might be the year of our dude Hideki. He's already won once. He's knocking on the door in contention again at API. He had the first round lead in 2020 before they canceled it for obviously the COVID year. So we'll see how that goes. Then just kind of finishing things off. There's guys like Hollywood Hoagie, Tom Hoagie, who's one of the best wedge players in the game, who's having some pretty good success this year. He's a guy I'd like to see run up the leaderboard. He might be more popular than I want him to be, but he's a guy I'm definitely going to have my eye on. And he's just about as consistent as anyone at Sawgrass. I think he finished T3 last year in 2023. Adam Svensson is a guy I think I'm about ready to climb on board with. I've been avoiding him the last few weeks. Last week, especially, he was in over his head. I thought Honda might have been a little tough for him too. The putter has been letting him down a lot lately. He did gain a little bit on the flat stick here last year, which he had a really good first time playing. And I just think with his iron play, he's going to be in it. He's not a big driver of the golf ball, but he can be accurate. Obviously, Seabez, we've talked about him already. He shot up to the number one on approach in the last 24. Solid with the irons. He can get away with it here because he's not very long off the tee, but his excellent short game. And if he's got the putter rolling, he's a guy that can, I'm not going to say contend for the win, but he's a guy that should be able to crack the top 20. Not really sure about the a ton of upside. He's more of a safer cash type play, but there's plenty of research to do. We're just kind of tip of the tip of the pile here. I put up a top 15 list. The top 10 guys are all guys I'd consider in one and done. So one and done is going to be interesting. Where me and my guy Dart Hero are not doing so good. We're making cuts, but we're not getting that big check. This is a week I think we're gonna need to fire. I kind of want to pull that trigger on Rory. We've already screwed up and used JT, but we'll see about that. So anyway, best of luck this week, and best of luck today in the closing moments of the Arnold Palmer. Until next time, see you soon.